Hey guys, let me know if you can hear me. Something's happening. This is way too bright. I'm a little bit early again, just to make sure everything works. So let me know if you can hear me. That did work. Amazing. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna give it 2 more minutes because I did say 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Uh, hi guys. Oh, I love those little yellow, I don't even know what to call them. They look like, what is that name of that Disney character? You know, the big white bubbly one? That's what they look like, those yellow things from Cuba. Amazing. I'm glad you guys can hear me, and I'll get into the questions in just 1 more minute. I'll just to be fair to everyone, since I did say that it's going to be at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Cocaine Mitch, thank you so much. I do appreciate it, and I will get to your question in just 1 minute. How are we guys doing? How are you guys surviving the current market? In the meantime, I'm going to look at the questions. Transport King, 3 p.m. I guess I'll go back to eating lunch. Transport King. Transport King is our sheriff. He's our moderator, and he's amazing. He helps with answering questions. He's very knowledgeable about the industry. So yay for Transport King. Okay, it's 4:30 Eastern, so let's get into some questions. Happy Sunday. For those of you who don't know, actually, it's Easter today for Orthodox. It's the Orthodox Easter, which is interesting. So if you are Orthodox, if you celebrate, happy Easter to you guys. Okay, let's get into it. So first things first. Hi, Miranda. What shall I make a year if I dispatch 5 trucks? Thank you. Great question. I know I've been asked this before, and I said something along the lines of it depends on the operations. So it really does. It depends on what kind of equipment you are dispatching, what kind of operations you're dispatching, interstate, intrastate, you know, how much the owner operator or that particular carrier and the drivers run. But to give you an idea, okay, let's say that a dry van makes, you know, it's an owner operator who runs for 30 days straight, $25,000 a month gross, right? For the dry van, let's say $25,000 a month. And you as a dispatcher are charging 5%. And you asked about 5 trucks. Okay, 5%. So 25,000, 5% of that is around 1,250 per truck, right? 25,000. Yeah, 1,250 per truck. So that's $6,250 a month for 5 trucks if they all run the same, which is $75,000 a year. Now, if you're a dispatcher who offers, let's say, back office services and charge 7%, it comes out to $1,750 per truck, or $105,000 a year for 5 trucks. For reefers, if you assume $30,000 gross per month, it's $1,500 per truck. So you're making around $90,000 per year for 5 trucks with a reefer. And again, we're assuming $30,000 a month gross. If you're charging 7%, it's $105,000. 105,000, it's 2,100 per truck times 12. Sorry, hold on. So reefer 7% of 30K times 5 times 12. $126,000 per year. And then flatbed, if let's say your owner operators are making $35,000 gross and you charge 5% per truck, that's around $105,000 a year. If you charge 7% per truck, then it's $147,000 a year, if that makes sense. I did these calculations, and of course, different dispatchers will charge differently, but I'm assuming 5 to 7%. I don't believe anyone charges 10% anymore. Okay, let's see what we got here. Thank you guys for the compliments. I appreciate it. Okay, Cocaine Mitch, market next year, short explanation. Great question. So as I said before, a lot of people are predicting that the market will turn around in quarter 3 of this year. But as I said in my video at the beginning of the week, I believe, there was the CEO of, was it ATBS? I already don't remember. He said that this is probably based on previous historical patterns. Some people are saying 2024 will be a decent year. Some people are saying it's not going to be decent until 2025. I'm happy to do more research on that. I'm happy to make predictions. But yeah, currently it's all, speculation and assumption. Let's talk about the current market for dry van. Dry vans are suffering right now. I'm not going to lie. We do have dry van trailers in our company, just none that are actually operating at this point. So I do not have firsthand data anymore on dry vans. We switched to flatbeds, as I said before. But from what I see on Sonar, from what I see on the load board, yeah, dry vans are getting the worst of it, it seems. It seems like there is overcapacity. There's overcapacity generally. But for dry vans, there is really overcapacity of trucks. And this could be partially because dry vans are the cheapest to operate. And, it's pretty easy to get a dry van. They're also the cheapest to actually buy. And they don't have as much work involved. Like for a reefer, there's work involved and it's very uncomfortable. For a flatbed, well, you can imagine it's constant driver work and it's dangerous. It's extremely dangerous. Is it a good time to get into the trucking business? Oh my goodness, it skipped. Okay, is it a good time to get into the trucking business? This is a question I get a ton. I did release a video. So I do show our performance every month. If you are working for yourself, you're a one-man show, you're not hiring you're dispatching yourself, you're doing your back office yourself, or you have a family member who is dispatching you and doing back office for you, or a friend, there is a way to make money. It's not going to be a ton of money, but there is a way to make money. If you look at the monthly performance videos, you will see there is a way to make money. If you are getting into this industry, and a lot of people ask me, is it a good way to make a passive income? Absolutely not. Passive income doesn't work, especially in this market. If you think you're going to get into this industry and then hire a dispatcher, hire someone to do back office, hire someone to basically run the company, sure way to lose money in this market. If you're a one-man show, driving for yourself, dispatching yourself, doing your back office, there is a way to make not a ton of money, but there is a way to make money. Flatbed lady now. Yes, I'm learning. It's definitely a different animal. Flatbed is, we did it for, I think, 2.5 or 2 months at the end of 2023. And then we gave up on flatbed because we got stuck in the West Coast. We couldn't get out and we went to dry van. But yeah, I'm learning it. It's definitely a different animal. You have to understand, you have to visualize what kind of commodity you're hauling to understand whether you have the things required to actually secure it. It's just a very, very different animal. And I also try as hard as I can to book loads that don't require tarping, because one of my guys, he has two 8-foot tarps, which you can imagine, those are really, really heavy, very, very hard to actually tarp the loads, especially if it's windy. And unfortunately, that happened to him on Friday, where he was trying to tarp it, and there was a gust of wind, and it just like threw the tarp off, flew away. It's horrid. Tarping is not fun. I think the best is to get 4-foot tarps, maybe 6-foot tarps. From what I see, a lot of brokers require either 4-foot or 6-foot. It's not very often that you get the 8-foot tarp requirement. Mark Lovett, can you please give info on tanker loads? I am so sorry. I am not very familiar with tankers, cargo vans, sprinter vans, and hotshots. I speak mostly from experience, right? And I have experience with reefer. This is my primary experience. Dry van, of course, and now flatbed. So unfortunately, I do not have any experience with tankers. I keep trying to, I keep saying this, and I keep trying to find some, equipment specific research about the market, like tankers, cargo vans, sprinter vans. I have not been successful yet, but if I do find something, I will definitely share it with you guys. I don't gatekeep knowledge. How was dispatching this week, Cuba? It was, our reefers, one of my guys, as I told you, unfortunately, he's not feeling well, and he's still not feeling well. My other guy, he is on holiday right now, so we just did a couple of loads with the reefer, and it was horrendous. Flatbeds, it's a little bit easier in terms of negotiating, I would say, but it's harder to book loads when you're clueless like me. I'm still learning flatbed. It's pretty, yeah, it's a different animal, as I always say. Cocaine Mitch, hate it, yeah. Kamikaze, you're starving? Me too. And I just ate. I'm always hungry. I think Connecticut requires a permit now, correct? Yes, correct. Do I still have it? Yeah, I do. Let me just cover this. Hold on. 1 second. You know that I try not to share my company info. See? There's the state of Connecticut. They do require a highway use fee registration number now. I haven't gotten one because we don't go to Connecticut. But yeah, they're requiring something now. How come you aren't running any dry vans? Because the market, it became impossible. We are all clearly in this business to make money. And with dry vans, it became a situation. We were still making money. This is thanks to my business partners. My business partners, I have 2 of them, they run like crazy. But the amount of money we were making on the dry van was just, it was horrible. So we decided to get rid of our dry vans and switch to flatbeds. Mm-hmm. Transport King, rough week. I'm glad I'm almost home. By the way, Transport King, question for you. How did you end up getting out of Utah? I know you were struggling a lot. How did that go? And you have a dry van, right? Rod, keep going. You're making a difference. Thank you. I really hope so. Most of the community members are wonderful and so sweet about it and everything. There are some that are a little bit pissed off at me for sharing market data, and some people blame me for the market, which I don't agree with, of course, but I understand where they're coming from. They feel like I'm sharing so much data that I'm part of the problem, and this is why not more carriers are going out of business. But I'm glad I'm making a difference, hopefully a positive one. I'm doing okay as a company driver. Company drivers are doing much better than owner operators or carriers right now, if you're working for a decent carrier, of course. you know, enjoy your data being shared. Thank you. Do you think I should switch to flatbeds and sell my dry van? So it's interesting. It depends. It depends, right? Flatbed is not for everyone. This is something that I learned very, very quickly. It's tough. First of all, there is more liability, right? Because you, as the driver, you are responsible for securing that freight. If something, God forbid, falls off of your trailer and hits someone, guess what? You're in big, big trouble, right? So that's a big part of it. So it's a very, and I mean it in the best way. I mean, literally, it's a very dirty job. You get very, very dirty. It's hard. It's hard. Those flatbed operators are heroes. I mean, I think all drivers are heroes, to be honest, but flatbed operators, yeah, they're heroes. Tommy Rock Marlin, thank you so much. Do you recommend trucking as a new career? If so, who's a great starter company? That is a great question. As a new career, that's how I started. A lot of you guys have been asking, and I'm going to share my story again. I was in the fashion industry. I was recruiting, right? I was recruiting for brands like Gucci, like all the luxury brands. This was what I did. And I got thrown into this industry, which was completely an alien industry to me. I didn't know anything. And I keep saying that I used to think that a truck and trailer did not disconnect. I thought they came that way. We started in 2019, and only later did I find out that 2019 was a recession in the freight industry. We managed, but again, I started with my family. So I had my family member driving, my business partner, one of my business partners, and I was dispatching and doing back office. So there was a way to make money. You can make money in this industry, even in a horrible market like today, not a lot of money, but you can make money. You can turn a profit at least if you're doing everything yourself. I'm running contract freight, so I'm still doing okay. Yeah, contract freight, I believe the spread was it 80 cents? Let me check. I was very, very curious to see. Where is my contract rate data? Do I have it? I probably don't have it anymore. I'll have to check. Last time I checked, there was a spread of 80 cents between spot market rates and contract rates. Yeah, unfortunately, I'll need to search it. Oh, wait. And I'm going to try to be as thorough with my answers here as humanly possible. Yeah, no, I unfortunately do not have that spread anymore. I'll have to search it. And I will. I'll search it. Maybe I'll include it in my next video about the general, what's going on in the freight market as of, what are we in? April. Have been following you for a while. Changed from dry van to car hauler now. It's getting worse here as well. Yeah, it seems like I think it's getting worse everywhere for flatbeds as well. There's more capacity. The rates I started dispatching our flatbeds about 3 weeks ago. The rates did go down. So I think it's company-wide, but market-wide, excuse me. I'm going to tell you something, and don't get excited, but at least it's a little bit of a beacon of hope. I was looking at the outbound tender rejection index, and remember I showed you in the Friday, was it Friday? Yeah, Friday I showed you it was around 275, 2.75% was the tender rejection rate, which was extremely low, almost at the point of April 2020. Right now, as of the 15th, at least, it's at 2.91%. So it has been going up. The question is it going to continue going up? I'm not sure. I don't think we have found a bottom yet. took last week off. We don't take cheap freight. Yeah. And this is something, look, this is something that a lot of you are saying, we stopped our trucks. We're not going to take cheap freight. And I completely understand that. And I respect that. But you have to understand there are carriers and owner operators who have payments on their trucks and trailers. I'm just explaining why is the market, why are these 80-cent per mile loads, they're kind of selling like hotcakes. Because there are those carriers and owner operators who have payments. They have very high fixed expenses, not variable expenses, fixed expenses that happen regardless of whether you're running or parking your truck. So in their mind, and it's kind of a messy situation, because on one hand, they are losing money on every mile. On the other hand, in their mind, okay, if I take an 80-cent per mile load, at least I'm making something to cover my fixed expenses. Does that make sense? It's horrible. But unfortunately, this has to happen in order for carriers to start going out of the market. It's horrid. And I hate saying this because I provide this knowledge to help people in this industry, and kind of saying the fact that carriers have to shut their doors is going against what I basically created this channel for, but it has to happen. This is how the market corrects itself. Let's see. Whoops. Oh, yikes. Let's see. Tim Swartz, thank you. And Abhilash, thank you. Okay, let me answer your guys' questions. It's not a good time to start a trucking company. How do I know when it's a good time to get started? Excellent question. So obviously, most people get started when they see that spot market rates are starting to increase, that there are more loads than there is capacity in the market. The way to look, the way you would figure that out on a basic level is by just looking at the load board. How many trucks are posted out of a particular market area versus how many loads. It's not ideal data because a lot of brokers do repost the same load over and over and over again, but it gives you an idea. The thing is, when you start seeing that the spot rates are increasing, it's not just you who's entering the market. A ton of people start entering the market. And what happens is the market gets better, but then so many people come in that it starts getting worse. So it's a completely normal cycle. We go through peaks and valleys, and this is how, unfortunately, it goes here. I'm a computer programmer and new to this. I want to buy a dry van trailer and start renting on Coop Fetch for passive income. Is this a good time to get started? So I have heard of Coop and Fetch. I do know you can rent your trailers. I honestly, I don't know. I don't know what kind of demand there is for renting trailers right now with the market being so bad. I wish I had a better answer for you. Where was I? Let's see. Flatbed is doing better than reefer. It depends where. The flatbed, something I realized is that the flatbed market, the good markets, are very, very limited. You cannot, if you want to stay in a good area with a flatbed, you cannot take those long loads because the good areas, they're kind of clumped together. So I think flatbed is great. I'm going to get hung for this one. I think flatbed is great if you are an owner operator where miles, they don't really matter, right? For a company driver, I am not sure. I'm not sure if you're looking to hire a company driver who works off of miles. If you want to actually make money on flatbed, there is, from what I saw, and again, I'm still learning, it's a very small market area where you have to be in order to make good money. I hope that makes sense. What's the reason you started your baby company? Oh, my baby company. Initially, so I told you I have two business partners. One of the business partners, he could not be insured under our original company because he had a new CDL in the US, right? That was non-transfer. He was from Europe. It was non-transferable in the US, so he had a new CDL. So what we ended up doing is insuring him through Progressive, which did accept a new CDL, and opening a baby company. And our whole idea was, okay, let's see how it does. We'll have a dry van company and a reefer only company, right? But then it just, I mean, right now we don't have any more dry vans. We have a couple of reefers, flatbeds. We do have a dry van that doesn't operate. So yeah, but that's the reason, insurance. Liz, how can I support my small SBT drivers? Could you clarify? I'm not 100% sure what you're asking. Crystal, finally caught alive. Yay, welcome. Oh, I'm so glad you got my email. I'm so glad. I get reprimanded all the time for not answering quickly enough. So I'm glad at least I got to you. I still have a lot of emails to answer. So hopefully I'll get them answered within the next couple of days. Yikes, it skipped. Hold on, where was I? Oh my goodness. If I miss your question, it's because it skipped, so feel free to ask again. I'm sorry, you guys. Looking for dry van areas. The current market is bad. Trying to get my neighbor to look into dry bulk markets. Yeah, the dry van market, I feel like there's so much overcapacity. It's getting the worst of it. What's the difference between a reefer trailer and a dry van trailer? Reefers are for transporting goods that are perishable, right? Like produce, frozen goods. It has literally, quite literally, a refrigerator, so it can keep different temperatures. Dry van is the most common and the most sought after trailer by a lot of shippers because it transports pretty much everything. But yeah, that's the main difference. Dry van is for dry goods, paper product, toilet paper, sanitizer, all of that. Reefer is for perishable goods, medicine, food, etc. Oh, sorry, it skipped. What, Cocaine Mitch, what areas is flatbed good? From what I see, it's the South. The South is where you want to be with a flatbed. Where was I? Thank you, Transport King, for helping out. I really appreciate it. 5%, that's insane. Maybe 1% max for dispatching, you mean? Yeah, I mean, I am never, on one hand, I will say to owner operators, if you really want to make money, start cutting expenses. One of them is dispatching. Try to dispatch yourself. On the other hand, a good dispatcher who really knows what they are doing can be a really, really big asset. Thank you for everything. Can I open my authority doing power only dry van in this market? So I don't have experience with power only. From what I have seen, the power only market is also pretty tough. It's pretty tough. I'm a dispatcher and I have sent out almost 800 emails and I still don't have a carrier. How to get carriers? Yeah, this is probably partially because of the market. As I said, and I know that dispatchers will not like to hear this, but I always say that if you're a small owner operator, cut your expenses. And I think that's what a lot of people are doing. They're trying to survive in this market, so they're cutting out anything they can, right? I'm only starting in this sphere. I am late. This is definitely, I mean, you're starting in trucking, you mean? This is definitely not the ideal market. I'll be honest, it's not the ideal market. There's a way to make money. I'll repeat myself if you are driving yourself and doing everything yourself, running your business without any help, not delegating. The market is definitely, it leaves much to be desired at this point. Do you have or can you, oh, sorry, I skipped one. What about loads going to Canada? Is rate even worse? I actually have never worked, I mean, I have never booked loads to Canada, to Alaska. I don't even see those loads on my load board because I filter them out. Do you have or can you get chemical tanker load info? This is something I'm going to try to, I keep trying to look into those kind of specific niche markets. If I find something, I'll be happy to share with you guys. Again, I don't gatekeep knowledge. Some people love me for it. Some people hate me for it. I do not gatekeep knowledge because I do think that this is the most important thing. My father always taught me that there's one thing in life that no one can steal from you, and that's knowledge that's in your head. So if I do find something, I will definitely share it with you guys. Why do we have a spot market, a spot rate market, allowing shippers and brokers to dictate what truckers get? Yeah, I mean, the trucking industry, realistically, as I said in one of my videos, we can point fingers all day long, but it's all about supply and demand. Currently, there is a lack of demand because the volume is really bad. Even like right now, the volume continues to drop. Yeah, the tender rejections went up a little bit, but the volume is down. So there's not enough volume and there is an oversupply of trucks. And what happens is that brokers and shippers, of course, use that to their advantage. Yeah. Thank you, Ivan. Abhilash, passive income in this industry. Unfortunately, I'm going to not give you the best news here. As I said before, this is not an industry, especially right now, to make passive income. Definitely not. The market is too rocky. It's still not at the bottom. The rates are too low. It's really, I mean, it's quite difficult to make money even if you're driving for yourself. But when you're delegating and paying other people to do things, yeah, it becomes very, very difficult. Thank you, Jeremy. Auto transport is suffering as well. I don't know much about auto transport, but yeah, I think the whole industry is kind of in a mess right now. At $1.58 a mile, running 3,000 miles a week. Yeah, I mean, again, there are some carriers, I don't think there are a lot of them, but there are some carriers who can operate for a profit at $1.58. It all depends on what your cost per mile is. This is the most important thing, and a lot of people don't realize that you really have to understand your cost per mile in order to be able to understand what you need in order to turn a profit. Thank you, Fishing Pete. What's the penalty for doing interstate loads in the US if you are Canadian or Mexican driver? I don't know. That is something I don't know. If anyone knows, flatbed hotshot. So unfortunately, hotshots is not something I'm very familiar with. What I see on the load board is, I mean, again, I don't know much about hotshots, but most of the loads are 48-foot flat that can scale 48,000 pounds. This is what I see. Yikes. Where did it go? Where am I? Where am I? Where am I? Salt Lake City was horrible for dry van this past week. How did you end up getting out? Did you find a customer, like a direct shipper? Yikes. I remember we were stuck in Salt Lake with the dry van. I think it was a month ago or so. It was horrid. I think that's when I did my last live, and there was that crazy, I don't know, 50, 60 cent per mile load to New York or something. I don't even remember. It was awful. How can you hire owner operators? What do you mean? I don't have experience with owner operators just because we're based in California. So because of the AB5 law, I cannot lease on anyone, but I have experience with actual company drivers. I run flatbed and every week is getting worse and worse. Yeah, it's industry wide. I won't, I mean, I can't even say that there is, that there's one part of the industry that's getting better while everything is getting worse. No, it's industry wide. How about just renting a dry van trailer? Can we get returns? This is something I'm not sure. I think I answered this question. I'm not sure. I know about Coop, but I don't know what the sentiment is in the market. On one hand, there's still carriers getting into the industry. On the other hand, as I mentioned, it might be that number might be skewed because of the California carriers that are opening their own authorities because of the AB5 law. 65 cents per mile, correct. What do you think is ideal number of trucks a dispatcher can handle at the moment? I think it depends on you, right? There are dispatchers that can easily handle 10 trucks. There are dispatchers who can only handle 2. Something to know about this current market is that it's not, booking loads is not efficient. And what I mean when I say that is you can spend hours and hours and hours looking for one load for one truck. So it just depends on how you work, how you organize yourself, and how good at multitasking you are, pretty much. What are the top carriers to lease on to? If anyone knows, please let Pedro know, because I'm not sure. I know the big carriers, on one hand, some of them have a very good training program. On the other hand, I have heard horror stories about those huge carriers. But if anyone knows, if anyone has experience, let us know. Sliding tarp, way to go. Do you mean is it called Conestoga? Is that the one you're referring to? I know Conestogas. I'm so sorry. My pronunciation is not my strong suit, but I know that those are very expensive, and I don't see many like loads specific for Conestogas. Hi, Yoshi. Not much, just answering questions. Kostiatin Ivanenko, thanks for your jobs. Have a secret of my energy, like where I get my energy from? Coffee. Lots of coffee. This is my only secret. What was the average price per mile last week for which equipment type? If we look at the National Truckload Index for line haul only, which means there is no fuel surcharge included here, currently we're at $1.57. And this is based on dry van data, right? For dry van data. And again, it does not include fuel surcharge. So yeah, it's below the cost of actually operating for many carriers. A lot of carriers are losing money on each mile that they drive at the moment. You're fasting. Ricardo, send me an email. I'll send you how our preventative maintenance looks like. And my email is talkabouttrucking@gmail.com. Reefer is just as bad as dry vans too. Oh yeah, the reefer market, like the few loads that we did book this week for the reefer or last week for the reefer, it was an uphill battle. It was hard. And the worst part is that produce is still, I mean, some people say that there's not going to be produce. I don't believe that. There will be produce. It's just going to be very muted this year and possibly delayed, because what's happening right now is in Central California. I was just speaking to my husband about this. Central California, obviously there was a lot of rain and everything's underwater. But now what's happening, there's no more rain, but everything's melting. So whatever is melting is also kind of getting everything underwater. You're in Utah now as dry van. Oof. Yeah, Utah, the West Coast for dry van, just stay away from the West Coast if you have a dry van. There's nothing there for dry vans. I'm making more money on vacation than trucking right now. You know what, guys? I need a vacation, but I can't go because I don't delegate. See, if you want to make money, you cannot delegate. I can't delegate. I am planning to go on vacation in the next 5 years, though, for sure. So is it a good time for the OTR box truck owner operator? Unfortunately, I'm not very familiar with box trucks, cargo vans, sprinter vans, hot shots. From what I do know, from what I have seen just by accident, box truck rates on the load board are horrible. I believe it has everything to do with what area you're in. Transport King, 100%. West Coast, dead end for dry vans, not flatbed. Well, for flatbeds as well, but for dry vans, dead end. Of course, it depends on which area you're in. Lincoln, I answered your question. It's supply and demand. This whole industry is based on supply and demand. Why does CPM to a driver not going down with the market? I think it is, but I think what happens is a lot of carriers, drivers, they are the backbone of the business. So if you have a good driver, a lot of carriers don't want to lose those good drivers because they're hoping the market will get better, which it will eventually. The question is when. So they're just not kind of cutting those rates. In terms of jobs posted, I'm not sure. Are the new jobs that are posted, paying like a very high amount? This market is nothing new. Agreed. This market is abnormal, 100% abnormal, because there's just a ridiculous amount of overcapacity. And of course, we just got done with COVID, and it's a crazy market. But the idea that it goes through those cycles where there's first overcapacity and then the rates go down, then capacity starts leaving, rates start going up, then capacity starts entering, rates go down. This is nothing new for sure. Tree Off-Road, you're so welcome. I'm so glad it helps. Evanon is a decent company. There we go. $1.85 per mile from Utah. Dry van, I would say that, compared to what is going out of there, that's pretty manageable. Thank you. For everything, is it beneficial to have own authority doing dry van power only? As I said before, I'm not very familiar with power only, but I do believe that the rates, from what I have seen, the rates are pretty down in the dumps there as well. Flatbed is a lot of work and a lot of responsibility. 100%. Yeah. And it's increased liability because if something falls, you're in trouble. Let's see. Flatbed, so much effort and not a lot of money. Yeah, it really, I mean, flatbed is, it requires a lot of work. It requires a lot of work. And I finally understood what people meant when they said that you either love it or you absolutely hate it. Oh, thank you, Kamikaze Productions. Sorry, I keep, like every live, I have something stuck in my throat. Flatbed with Conestoga. My God, I can't pronounce it. Is a breeze. Yes, correct. They are more expensive. It's easier. You don't have to tarp. But the question is, I personally, I have not seen the volume for Conestogas, at least in comparison to flatbeds. No clever name. You notice no factoring expenses in my video where I showed our performance because we didn't have any factoring fees that month. I do not factor all loads. I only factor when I absolutely need to. I like to keep a certain amount on the accounts. So I'll factor when, you know, the brokers are not paying on time and I need that amount to be there in the bank accounts. So I do not factor every load. There were just no factoring fees. Tommy, you're so welcome. You're burnt out. Yeah, I hear you. I'm also, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I am also burnt out most of the time. I just am very good at hiding it. I need to exit business, but my truck payment is underwater. Any tips? What do you mean your truck payment is underwater? Does the discussion relate to box truck also? Unfortunately, Jake, I am not familiar with box trucks. I try to, I mean, my channel, it's of course about market data and everything, but it's mostly based from my personal experience, right? And I have experience with reefers, dry vans, and flatbeds. So the reason I do it from experience, I talk about equipment types that I actually do have experience with, is because I want to make this channel as accurate as possible. So unfortunately, box trucks is definitely not my strong suit. Yeah. I rejected a rate con from TQL for putting language in that allows them not to pay if late. No go. Oh my goodness, no. Yeah, I would reject that too. TQL is here. TQL. Yeah. TQL is, I know a lot of people are boycotting them, but if you guys read my post, was it last week? Yeah, last weekend. Last weekend, we got an $8 something per mile load with 7 drops. Those drops were literally completely next to each other. And we did them all in, well, one day pretty much. Like we did them all same day, except for one that was done the next morning, like 5 minutes per drop. And then we got another one of those loads. But because of the deadhead, it came out to, the second one came out to like almost $6 per mile with deadhead. So, and that was TQL. And the if you didn't read my post, the way we got that first load is they kept on calling me about this load. with 7 drops. And I kept telling them, no, no, not interested, I'm not interested. And at one point, someone else called me, and you know how TQL is. There are like 200 people working on one load. Someone else called me, and to get them off my back, I'm like $2,000. And it was like 200 some miles just to get them off my back. And they're like, done. Okay, not a problem. The industry is suffering right now. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Thank you. Every day is sunny. Yeah, Douglas, people who purchased like paid cash for their equipment, they're in a better position than those who are financing, especially those that started financing in 2021 when equipment was ridiculously expensive. I mean, it's still ridiculously expensive, but at that time it was crazy. Yeah. Yeah, mana retention. I don't know how those people are surviving who are paying 7 to 8K on brand new trucks and equipment. Yeah, those people who, you will often read, if you read through the comment section, a lot of people are saying that those that entered this market in 2021 will be the first to leave. And I have to agree with that, because a lot of them entered with no experience. And second of all, they're financing equipment that, I mean, is ridiculously overpriced. And the spot market, at least, it's not paying to be able to afford that kind of equipment. Millennial trucker, you're funny. That Italian trucker, open deck all my professional life. Yeah, see, there are people who absolutely adore it, and there are people who hate it. I mean, I don't drive, I don't secure loads, I don't pretend that I do. I just, I run back office. I'm basically the person who does everything except for actually driving when it comes to running the trucking company, compliance, safety, all of those things, dispatching. But I don't know how I feel about flatbed yet. It's hard. It's, as I said before, it's a different animal. So I'm learning, and I think when you're learning, it's not as fun. When you finally get the hang of it, it's much more interesting. And I'm still learning about flatbeds. Booking loads for flatbeds is definitely different. I don't hate it, but I'm not familiar with it yet. I'll get better. Hi, fugitive. Overhead costs will determine success. Absolutely. What is your cost per mile, right? If your cost per mile is $2.50 for a dry van, it's a problem in this market. Have you seen the trailers where that flatbed converts to a van? You're talking about Conestogas, I think. I have actually, it's funny that you asked that. I have actually never seen one in real life. Or maybe I'm living under a rock. Crazy. How would I learn more about becoming a dispatcher? Paul, I actually have a dispatching course that teaches about dispatching. You can go on my website, truckingmadesuccessful.com, and it's there. Don't start in winter. Yeah, winter is dangerous in the trucking industry. And yeah, the weather is horrific, especially this year. Well, last year and this year, the weather has been crazy. New authorities should realize that running under someone else's aged authority is more profitable than running under their own authority. Correct, but something you have to remember is that does not It's a good point, 100%, but that does not decrease the amount of dispatchable trucks in the market, right? So you guys are going to hate me for this, but what needs to, I keep saying this, what really needs to happen is carriers, those, and the amount of dispatchable trucks, the amount of trucks that are ready to take a load right now, those have to decrease in the market. They really, really do. Or the volume has to increase for some like miracle reason. When will dry van be able to grow again? God. Dry van, sorry, 1 minute. Dry van is the most popular equipment type, both among carriers or drivers and shippers, because a lot of things get transported on a dry van. When will it be able to grow again? When enough capacity leaves the market. Let's see. Yum Fact Psych. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. All the info you're sharing is all very general. If you have any specific question, feel free to ask. I feel bad for OTR company. Yeah, OTR, actually, let me take a look. Remember, I used to show you the rejection rates based on the length of haul. Let me see what it is for long haul right now. Yeah, not great. It's actually at 2.86%. It's the second lowest. The worst is short haul, 2.77% rejection rate for short haul, which is less than 250 miles. Long haul is 2.86%. The best is those tweener, which is, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's those like 2-day loads, 1 to 2-day loads, 450 to 700 miles, something like that. Let me just double check. Let's see. Yeah, I can't even double check. But tweener are those like 1 to 2-day loads that are not too short. Those are the best. The rejection rate is 3.35%. A long haul doesn't pay a lot at the moment. Chicago companies pay high on miles, but also be aware of their tricky mileage software. Yeah. We pay, our company drivers earn based on odometer readings. So we use Motive, Keep Trucking as the ELD. And what I do every week is I basically send them all their miles. I mean, what they ran, so they can compare their odometer readings from the beginning to the end of the week. And that's how I pay. It's just more transparent. Builds trust. Truckers Education Network. It's always a good time to start a trucking company. And if you start in a bad economy, it strengthens your business. 32 years and still going strong. That is amazing. Yeah. I mean, I agree with you that, yes, if you start in a bad time and you make it, then you're ahead of everyone else. I think that it just depends on how you structure, right? And what kind of fixed expenses you have, because variable expenses are variable. Fixed expenses are the big thing to pay attention to. Best place for a dry van right now. The last time I checked, it was Louisville, Kentucky. The volume is pretty decent and the tender rejection is really high. And as I always say, tender rejections, the higher it is, the higher the spot market rates also. But that was as of Thursday. Is power only okay for the first 2 years? I mean, yeah, you can do power only. In terms of rates, you know what? You guys are asking me a lot about power only, so let me take a look. Power power only. Thank you very much. And let's put in, I don't know, let's put in Houston, Texas. And we'll put it in for tomorrow because today is the weekend. No one works on the weekends. Yeah, so for tomorrow, and I completely understand that a lot of trucks, I mean, a lot of loads aren't probably not posted. We have 6 exact matches from Houston. And what are they paying? JB Hunt, can't stand them anymore. 1,206 miles, loaded miles to Hopkins, Minnesota, paying $1,292, power only. Then we have to California by Tallgrass Freight Company. Jewett, Texas to Anaheim, California, 1,529 loaded miles, $2,650. So yeah, power only is, I'm not sure what the market, like if there are any good specific market areas for power only, but like if we look at Texas, it's pretty bad. Let's take a look just out of curiosity at California. Let's do Bakersfield. And I misspelled Bakersfield. So from Bakersfield, 129 power only matches. Let's look at the rates. Okay, 2,209 miles to Georgia, $4,000. We have to Fort Worth, 1,533 miles to $1,800. Yeah, I mean, the rates are less than $2 per mile. Pretty yucky. How to get contract lanes? Great question. I'm not sure, but we did start collecting a database of direct shippers. How? My business partners, when they come to deliver a load, they just ask, do you work directly with carriers? If they do, I call them and I get on their email list. Pretty easy. Maybe sell the truck and grab a few box trucks. What do you think? I don't think I would ever trade in our semi trucks for box trucks at this point. Not in this market, at least. I think we should have like $3 per mile as a flat CPM. I agree. 350 per mile is more fair. But unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, it depends on who you ask and where in the cycle we are. Supply and demand is what rules the trucking industry. Which load board do I suggest for dry van? DAT or DAT. Some people call it DAT. DAT. For flatbed, I got Truck Stop because everyone was saying how good of a load board it is. I like it. They have a really, really cool feature where they show you the rate per mile right away. I mean, it doesn't include deadhead, which is awesome. And when you click on a load, it gives you so many different tools that are really, really nifty. But that's for flatbed. Yeah. For dry van and reefer, DAT. I hate when it does that. Why does it skip? All right, let's see. Where was I? I'm sorry, you guys. If I skip your question, it's because my chat just skipped down and I cannot find my place now. Okay. Is there a website you can go to hire truck drivers? So what I have had a lot of luck with is the Truckers Report. It's a forum, right? So they have a job forum there and you can post the job. Just make it enticing and don't hide things. This is one of the things I hated as a recruiter when I was in the fashion industry, because they didn't, when we posted jobs, we were not allowed to disclose what this person is going to be making, what kind of benefits, all of that. I hated that. So when you go to post on the truckers report under the jobs, be open, because the first thing any potential employee or independent contractor is looking at is how much, what are they getting out of, the job. So be open there, and I've had a lot of luck with the truckers report. Let's see. Hmm. How can I find clients to dispatch for? It's a lot of cold calling. I'm not going to sugarcoat. There's no like specific database where you can find owner operators who are looking for dispatchers. It's a lot of cold calling. When you put one trucking company's expenses on a scale, what is the most expensive things to least? Fuel is most expensive, payroll is second most expensive, maintenance. I would say that probably it depends, but ELD is probably the least expensive. Maybe, yeah, ELD would be the least expensive, I would say. I'm wondering if dispatch services are part of the rate problem. You mean if dispatchers are taking those low rates? How to fight 411 report by broker. Excuse me. So excuse me, I am not 100% sure. What I have heard is that you can reach out to the FMCSA about any report on carrier 411. I don't know if this is true. That's just what I heard. Yeah. Curious about lots of box truck questions. Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with box trucks. I know that the rates are lower for box trucks, much, much lower. But so are the expenses, right? Thank you, Furman. I appreciate it. This month seems to be an overall slow month in the industry, with the lack of goods being imported into the country and manufacturing not being viable domestically. Yeah, I agree. It's funny. April for us, I don't know why. April for us has always been our worst month. This is in last year, this is the month where we lost money. This is the only month we lost money. The year before, this is when COVID hit. So, or not the year before. No, sorry. In 2020. Damn it. Now I'm confused. In 2020, this is when COVID shutdowns happened. In 2021, it's when we didn't make a ton of money. In 2022, it's when we lost money. And this year, it's really slow. I have to agree with you. Mhm. Can we all stop driving? This is a lot of people are calling for that, right? Park your trucks, the rates will go up. But again, a lot of owner operators and carriers, they have such high fixed expenses, they cannot park their truck. Yeah. And what about those that are hiring drivers? What do they tell their drivers? Sorry, we're parking the truck, go look for another job. How do you do that? Hold on. Skipped again. Where did we leave off? Miranda, do you have a CDL? I do not. I do not. I wish I did, but I do not have a CDL. I think I mentioned this in my last live. Again, I run everything related to the back office, compliance, safety, all of that. That is all on me. CDL, I really wish I had a CDL, but on the other hand, I am terrified, like literally terrified of a semi truck. When I sat in one, I nearly had a panic attack because it's so hot. I don't know what it was. I got so scared. And yeah, unfortunately, I'm definitely not made for that. Heartbeat, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Yes, that's the account with 28 posts. I don't post a lot on Instagram. I also, something that I keep forgetting to mention, I don't look at the messages on Instagram often. So if you sent me a message on Instagram and I didn't get back to you, it's not because I'm ignoring you. I just don't look at those messages. If you want to shoot me an email, talkabouttrucking@gmail.com, happy to answer. Could you get an authority and let it sit? You could. You could. So this is what we did with the DOT number, right, for our baby company. Got it, it's free, didn't have to be activated, and we just let it sit and age. Because Progressive, it's funny, Progressive, they accept new drivers. They insure completely brand new CDL holders, which is what we needed for my business partner because his CDL did not transfer over to the US, even though he has over 20 years of experience. But they do not accept, at least in California, new ventures. They need a DOT that's 1 year old or older. So you can do that. With an MC number, you can, but the thing is you have to activate the MC by getting BOC3 on file as well as insurance on file. So that when you get the MC, it might cost you to just let it sit, if that makes sense. Transport King, don't let an authority sit. Brokers want active authorities. That's an interesting point. This is something that I never looked into. I know that an authority officially becomes active and starts aging the moment you get insurance on file, right? The moment you really activate it. The question is, I don't know if brokers have a way of seeing whether during that time that you let it sit, whether you were hauling loads or just letting it sit. That's one of the things that are unclear. Nate's memes. Thank you. Let's see. Irk, why do I hate brokers so much? Because they're using a crappy situation against carriers. That's why. Let's see, I'm going to, why not just park your trucks? Continuing to run will drive the rates. Because, as I said before, there are some carriers and owner operators who have a very high fixed expenses. So if they park their trucks, they're still spending money and not making anything to cover. The people who have high fixed expenses can only park their truck if they have a very, very, very hefty safety net. Jesse, I think I'm done. Another owner op leaving. Yikes. See, it's just terrible. It's just terrible that the market is, yeah. Trucking made successful. What is your long-term goals on trucking? I want I want to make Night Swift look like a tiny little insignificant something. I mean, this is my goal, really. I just I wanna build up the fleet. I love this industry. People get surprised that I love it despite the fact that the market is so bad. I love this industry so much. It frustrates me. I quit every single night, but I do love it. And my ultimate goal is to really build up that fleet. Build up that fleet. If I park my truck, who's going to pay my truck payment? See, yeah, that's the big thing. Some people cannot just park their truck. Where are they going to get money to pay all those fixed expenses? Thank you, Serge. I identify as a tax exempt person, so IRS, we're good. I read a